Welcome to the Sincerely God podcast. I'm Sarah, and I believe that God is speaking to all of us all the time and in many different ways. For me, the primary way that I listen is through two-way journaling. And in this podcast, I share excerpts from my prior journaling time with God, which are really inspirational messages spoken from the perspective of God to you. I'll share more about what two-way journaling is and explore other methods that might be helpful for you to listen to God in your own unique way. I'm just an ordinary person who gets to hear from an extraordinary God, and I believe you can too. Thanks for joining me. So the journaling that I'm going to share today is actually from June of 2018, which is about a month or so after I first started this two-way journaling. So this is what it says. I am with you, I am for you. Trust that your future is securely in my hands. Trust that every detail has been accounted for. Trust and believe and receive. Trust that I know the answer. Believe that I am listening and answering your prayer for guidance. Then receive all I am giving you. Don't be surprised when I tell you to go a different way from what you expected or desired. My way is best for you and for me and for this world. Trust me. Believe in me. Receive my ways, follow my ways. My decrees are just, my ways are right. Follow me and I will show you. I will show you the way forward. I am the way. I will show you great and mighty things, powers of heavens that you do not understand. I will show you unsearchable things, ways of living that defy your logic and understanding. Trust me. Come to me. Receive all I am giving you. I ask, what are you giving me? Is there anything you are giving me that I'm not being open to receive? He responds, yes, my child. I desire you to receive so much more, and it will come in time. Keep seeking me. Seek me first and above all else. As you seek me, you will receive more of me. My gifts are parts of me. As you receive me, you receive my gifts. As you draw closer to me, we become one, living together as one in all you do. Let's go through this day together. Keep your attention on me and I will show you the way. I will show you one step at a time, one decision at a time. This is how we become one. You must trust me completely. I am teaching you the way to walk as one with me through this life. Come with me and I will show you. I will show you much more than you ever imagined could be. It starts with trust in the small things. See, I am doing a new thing. I am doing a new thing which requires you to live a new way. Your abilities and your own power will only take you so far. To go where I am taking you, you must rely on me and my power. Trust in all you do. Trust and believe and receive. Continue to take time for me today. Stop in stillness to connect with me and hear my voice. I am always speaking to you. You simply need to be still and tune into my spirit within you. I will show you the way. See, I am showing you. I am showing you even when you don't realize or recognize it. Be vigilant. Listen intently. Listen in the stillness throughout your day. Stay focused on me. I will show you one step at a time. So as I was beginning this journey with God, of really just communicating with Him in this new way through two-way journaling and just receiving so much, there's so much that was beyond my understanding, beyond what I expected. And in this particular message, I really feel like He's reminding me of how important it is to stay focused on seeking Him, and that it's not as complicated as I think it is. I think oftentimes I tend to overcomplicate, and I expect that there needs to be these step-by-step things, and I need to know what all of those steps are before I can continue. But so much of what God wants to show us and grow us in is really just about focusing on Him, seeking Him. And then as we do that, that's when we receive. That's when we have this opening up to new revelation, to new understanding, to gifts. He says, my gifts are parts of me. And so as we receive more of God, we receive gifts because that's just His nature. You know, it says in the Bible about how a father wants to give good gifts to their children. And if a human father wants that, how much more does our Heavenly Father? And recognizing, though, what He wants above all is us, this connection to God, this learning and growing and being in him. And as we do that, that's when all the gifts come, because it's really just pieces of his heart, pieces of his nature. Things that we learn about God are also what we're learning about ourselves. And as we can understand and grow and receive these things that are kind of almost beyond our natural understanding, beyond our human understanding, then that allows us to then receive and become these different aspects that maybe we didn't have an openness to be able to step in before. So, one thing that he says, I will show you great and mighty things, powers of the heavens that you do not understand. I will show you unsearchable things, ways of living that defy your logic and understanding. There are things that are beyond our ability for our minds to understand, that or oftentimes our heart has an ability to sort of know and understand on a different level or in a different way. And I think that's a lot of how we can open up to the great and mighty things that are God, that are heaven, that are gifts that we can receive in our hearts first. And they're beyond the human logic, the human understanding, or really at least that scope of logic and understanding that we exist in at a particular point in time. As we learn and grow, that allows us to have an expanded understanding and expanded ability to receive, to know. And we have to have that expansion in order to receive more of God, because God is so much bigger than who we are. We are just a piece. And if you consider, like, if every person in the entire world over the expanse of time, if every person is created in the image of God and every person is so uniquely created, I mean, yeah, everybody has a unique fingerprint, but there's so much more about us that is unique. And if we're all created in the image of God, then we're all pieces of him. There's so many different talents and characteristics that make up a person that are unique from one to the next, and yet they're all pieces of God. And so as we seek him, as we spend more time with him, as we're able to come into just his presence and soak in more and more of who he is, that allows us to even just expand our own knowledge, our own understanding, our own ability to receive and know who we are, who he created us uniquely to be. And then recognizing that that's just one piece, or I should say multiple pieces of who he is. And then when you get to know someone else and you get to know their characteristics, that's also giving you more perspective and views of who God is. And it really is, so much of God is beyond our understanding, so much is beyond logic and what we can kind of grasp and hold on to with our earthly understanding or our earthly way of doing things. But as we become more open to maybe receive or to acknowledge that there are things that are beyond maybe what we can tangibly hold or fit within our existing constructs of what is true or what is possible, then that allows us to be able to receive gifts, that allows us to be able to see and know mighty things, unsearchable things, hidden things. And it changes us. It shifts our perspective. And it allows us to live more freely, to live more fully. He says he's doing a new thing, and that new thing requires us to live in a new way, and our own abilities, our own power can only take us so far. I think when we rely on our own abilities, we rely on our own power, number one, that of course limits us, that limits what we have the ability to do. But I think it also creates a fear, and that fear is the biggest limitation. And God invites us into freedom, invites us into this abundance living. And how we do that is by recognizing that we don't have to live only in our own power. We don't have to live only in our own abilities, that we actually have an opportunity to tap into the God of the universe, who has every characteristic of every person we've known, at least as far as the good and the pure and the true and the lovely, that we can tap into that. We can tap into this mighty thing, this mighty power that is beyond what we have an ability on our own. And as we do, it breaks through that fear. It breaks through that limitation, that if we live thinking that everything is only within our control, is only within our own power and ability, we know our limitations. We know that we can only do so much. And there's fear there of, what if I fall? What if I break? What if I can't hold it all together? And that creates such a constraint in our life, that creates such a weight in our life. And I think so much of us, we do go through our lives in that way, where we're weighed under the heaviness of thinking that we have to carry it on our own, that we have to do it on our own, because all we have access to is our own ability and power. And I don't believe that's how God intended us to live. I don't believe that we can live freely and we can live in the fullness and abundance of this life if that's how we view the world, if that's how we view how things work, how the world works. Yes, maybe that's how the world works, but we tap into beyond powers of heaven that we don't understand. And I don't think we ever have to understand to actually be able to tap into that power and to be able to receive the goodness and the help that can come in our daily lives. So he says, let's go through this day together and to keep our attention on him, and he'll show us the way. And I think often I forget that really is the key to it all, is connecting to God, to connecting and seeking God, that we don't always have to seek to understand. We don't always have to seek every answer, every solution to every problem, but every day in all we do, if we are seeking God, and maybe seeking God is something that you're not ready to do. Maybe you don't necessarily believe that there is such a thing, a being that created the entire universe. I would say start by seeking you. Seek that pure, authentic, true part of you, because as you do, I think you're going to find that's where God is connected through. He is part of you. God is in you, and there's a connection within you. And so if you can connect to that purest form of yourself, then that is also connecting you to God. And so maybe, if you're facing a problem today, maybe try to take some time that instead of analyzing the problem and researching every single possible solution to try to find that exact answer or that way forward. Not saying you can't do that. Those are good and those are helpful, but maybe also take time to seek within yourself. And maybe you can just go straight to seeking God. Maybe you already have that connection. And if not, then seek what is inside of you, that purest form of you. And sometimes that takes a little bit of digging, and that takes a little bit of removing the layers of fear, removing the layers of lack, of insecurity, of grasping at control. But as you take time just to seek you, the purest form of you, as you take time to seek God and the purest connection to God, I think oftentimes we're able to actually get to that source of power, get to that solution that is beyond our understanding. We get caught up in the trying to figure it out on our own, when really we can just put it all aside and seek God, and that's where the understanding comes. And we can get that understanding, we can get that source of power and strength that is beyond ourselves in a moment. But the bigger invitation is really to do that as a regular way of living. That seek God every day. Seek the purest form of you every day. Seek it as a habit. Seek it as a rhythm. And over time, it will transform you. Over time, as you just seek God more, you become more like him and you receive his gifts, because as you seek him, you're understanding more parts of him. You're connecting with more parts of him, and his gifts are parts of who he is. So I just encourage you, take time to also connect with God. Take time to connect with the purest form of you, and allow that connection to actually open you up to new things, to new insights, to new gifts, and be open to receive those, even if it's not something that you can actually understand with your mind. But receive, be open, and allow it to actually transform who you are, how you think, how you do your life. And I think you'll be able to live more fully and more freely. And in that, with more joy and love and goodness in your life, in your way of doing things. So I just encourage you in this. Thanks for tuning in to the Sincerely God podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends. If you'd like more information, you can go to my website, sincerelygodquotes.com. There you'll find links to my social media, as well as an ability to get your own copy of Sincerely God, a collection of quotes, either the book or the prayer journal. Until next time, keep listening to how God is speaking to you.